I'm thinking that if you ask people whether or not they want to get married, at least in America, a real high percentage of the people that are 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old will have some sort of an idea that, yes, they would like to be married if, or they can see being married if. And so I think that marriage has a really good reputation that it doesn't deserve. So if you think about, say, the American diet, if the American is average like 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, and they're on the American diet, then that might indicate that the American diet's not all that great. So I really like the idea that partnership can be developed as a conversation for people being effective with each other, whether it's parent-child, grandparent-child, teenagers together or whatever, so that partnership becomes something understood and valuable. Like a good handshake would be a representation of a partnership. A good hug, hi, good morning, how are you doing today? That's partnership. Whereas marriage, for a lot of people, seems to be associated with ownership. Like that's my husband, my wife, my house, my silverware, my china, my hairdo. And I think that the word "my" probably takes us away from partnership.
Yeah.
Not absolutely. You could have a "my" hug, but I think that the word "my" is often. I remember this Buddhist monk said that when he came to America, the first words his child learned was, "No, it's mine." No, it's mine. That's the first thing this kid born in Tibet learned how to say because he lived in America.
There's recently, one of the things I've talked to you before about circling and authentic relating. One of the things that we talk about, and I think in the forum and Landmark as well as is ownership, what the idea of ownership is. And there's something that when we're talking about ownership and relating, we're talking about owning my experience, like I'm experiencing. When you say that, I feel angry, not you're making me angry. It's my feelings. I'm feeling this. You say that, I notice the impact over here is this. And when I think about that term of ownership, it's very distinct from the conventional sense of ownership. The conventional masculine hierarchical ownership is control. How can I control something that's outside of me, rather than be accountable for something that's arising inside of me? It's like the opposite end of the spectrum from the ownership has that duality to it that we point out there for something that's owning land, owning a wife, owning children, owning my job, or owning my employees is different from owning my contribution, owning my experience, owning my participation, my accountability.
One of the things we might talk about for a minute is money. Because I think that it's common when boy meets girl for the boy to assume that he's going to become a job holder and make money and bring money home because that's what his father did. And the woman would like to marry a guy who makes more money than the guy next door or more money than her sister's husband. And so when we think about money having something to do with relationship, it's almost hilarious to think that if two horses were going to have sex and you told them that you were going to pay them $500 each, the horse wouldn't have any indication at all that made any difference. But the human would say, I'm not a prostitute, or I am a prostitute. And so I think that money is one of the real hot places for young people to notice that on a date, you have a relationship with money on a date. And then if you're going to have a long date called marriage, then you're going to get caught in that promise to be responsible for money 40 years later.
Yeah, there's another thing that I've observed about money that came up recently that seems appropriate here, which is On the dollar bill it says "In God We Trust," right? And it occurred to me that that's kind of odd. Money, in a way, is externalized trust. It's saying, oh, there's this much trust. Here's $100 worth of trust, and that somehow we can put that out there, and that means something. And the fact that we make it mean something has an impact, right?
Yeah.
It separates us from my involvement with it to some extent now. It's like, oh no, I can just give this around, and that does make it so that then it's like this thing that I'm looking for. But it's also the same thing in work. I mean, the idea that most Americans believe that the goal of this game that we're playing is retirement. I want to get to the point where I have enough money that I can just sit on the beach and not do anything. I don't want to be accountable anymore. Take me out of the accountability game. It's accumulated enough of that trust that I don't have to do it anymore, and that we don't realize how invalidating that is of who I really am.
Thinking about competition, a guy named Alfie Kohn wrote a book called No Contest, and he said that a synonym for competition is againstness. So if you and I were arm wrestling, I would be against you and you would be against me, and that would be competing. So it could be that partnership between a man and a woman in marriage is not a function of competition. When it is a function of competition, like I make more money than you do, and then Mary's husband said, wait until I make the money, I'll show you who's boss then. As if it was like a hammer. Something we might cover, because it's important, is love and fear. It could be that money in relation to fear, money in relation to love are two different things. So when we have a man-woman situation where there's money involved in going to the movie, or there's money involved in buying a house, money involved in paying for surgery, then where is the love and where is the fear that allows it to be marriage or partnership? I'm sort of saying that partnership probably has a lot more love in it, and marriage has a lot more fear in it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't do this or do that, I'm going to file charges against you for irresponsibility at least.
Yeah. You may have remembered me talking about the idea of an opposable thumb. It's an interesting idea. It's opposable and not oppositional. I think of oppositional as two things colliding, and either or, and one has to win over the other. And I'm missing that there's a connection, right? It's a power. One has to win. But when I realize the connection and I'm working with that connection, the flow, such that there is a mutuality to the experience, allows this difference in perspective to actually give me another depth of experience. I see, oh, there's two sides to this thing. And I actually can, through this connection, that flow, that partnership, experience more of what's here than I can by myself. And the beautiful part of that is not to get rid of the oppositionality, not to get rid of that head banging either or, but to recognize that at that point, I'm very close to discovering where that missing piece is. Where's the connection missing? I can feel it's missing. What is that? And become curious about how are we connected? I know we are, and I can't see it.
I'm beginning to think about love and fear in relation to the young girl that we were talking about a minute ago. Like, who are we about young girls that out of fear? And who are we about young girls out of love? And so when we love our inner girl, we love our feminine, then we can have a whole different attitude about competition or hierarchy or who's going to lead. See, I think leadership is a beautiful thing. And the main thing that makes a leader is that other people say that they're willing to follow. So if someone says, we're in the woods and I'm going to lead for the next hour, and the people say, I'm willing to follow for the next hour, then we've got a deal. And I think that's a real good way to look at leadership. But when we say he should be the leader because he has more money or higher family status or some kingship or princeship or something like that, we get into a lot of trouble because we have a certain incompetency that gets accepted where it's not working, but we're not admitting that it's not working.
Well, and again, it feels like there's times where that's appropriate. You know, when I couldn't help but think as I was reading Leonard Shlain's Alphabet and Progress of the Goddess, what is that about the introduction of literacy that has erupted this hierarchical control that tries to wipe out the feminine over and over and over again? It's not an accident. It's an expression. It happens, and there's it's tempting to say that shouldn't have happened. We should go back and fix that. That's broken. But in some way, I think it's a way of getting to some other place that then allows us to look back and include something new. There's something new. Something almost has to be torn down in order for us to get to a new place. I almost have to have a marriage lock me up and fail and break free of it to realize that I'm really trying to be a partner with somebody. It's not about controlling them. It's not about protecting myself. It's not about trying to make it so that I never fear, but that I see through the fear to actually connect to the other person. So I have to confront that at some point.
Well, let's talk a little bit about movies. I've seen some really good movies lately. One is Call Me By Your Name, one is I, Tonya, and another one is something about the thread.
Phantom Thread or something?
Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
And I saw a movie last night called Locke, L-O-C-K-E. And I think that what a movie does is it sort of allows us to observe something with the idea that we can say, if I were her, if I were him, I would do this or I would do that. And then we notice that they don't do what we would do because they can't possibly do what we would do. And so I try to see a movie every day. And I meet people quite often that never see a movie. And so when I think about the functionability of it, it seems like there's real power in being able to notice that it looks like that partnership or that marriage is not going to go well or it is going to go well, and sort of get into predicting how it's going to go and then notice how right or wrong you are. Kind of like you're going to Las Vegas and you're rolling the dice or putting your money on red or black. So I really want to promote a movie called Locke because it's about a guy driving a car and he's got a really good telephone, so he doesn't have to reach over and pick up a phone. He just can talk into the telephone. And he talks with his girlfriend, his wife, his employees, his enemies, his friends and doctors and all sorts of people while he's going 90 miles an hour down the road. And the movie really shows that a fairly high percentage of the time when he says words, he's in sync with somebody and they're actually understanding what he's saying and agreeing with him and is making progress in partnership and in love. And then there are times when he's totally misunderstood and hated and feared, and there's separation between him and the other. And he's always a guy driving a car down the road. You know, kind of like Kerry Wood and what's the Zen saying about Kerry Water?
Yeah, chop wood, carry water.
Chop wood and carry water. So he's always being a male Homo sapien driving a car down the road. He's always 45 years old and he's always being effective at driving, but he's misunderstood and understood and misunderstood and understood. And so the audience can notice what works for him and what works for humanity and what works for the person on the other end of the phone. So when we watch a movie that we say is our favorite kind of movie, like an action movie or a mystery movie or a sexual movie, this movie is about partnership. and marriage to a large degree about separation and againstness or love and partnership. And you can see it happening not in hugging or holding hands or kissing, but it's all in words. So when a man is talking to his teenage boy, love can be there without him bragging about the boy's ability to play soccer. He's just talking to him about love. So I would say probably over 90% of all the movies made in the world are not important as far as being educated. I went to a neurologist the other day, and this lady was born and raised in Romania, and she was saying that Parkinson's disease, which is a disease that I have, is mainly known for causing people to slow down. So your 100-meter dash might go from 12 seconds to 14 seconds, and the way you speak would slow down, the way you think would slow down, the way you see would slow down. And so when I think about Stephen Hawking, it seems like his ability to think hasn't decreased. So his ability to digest food, his ability to run, his ability to do most anything has been diminished. But over 40 years, he seems to have maintained his ability to say yes or no, or I think, or I want, or I like. So,
or the universe is.
So I want to point out to the audience that I have a nickname, Fast Eddie, and who knows, why that would occur. But I want to share with America and Austin, Texas, and the world things that I've learned about boy-girl that I think are beneficial to me and therefore beneficial. Like whatever works for even the assassin is in the world now, and it can be used by other people.
There's I've noticed. I was thinking about Stephen Hawking as well when you mentioned the ability to write, and I recently just had the intuition to write with my left hand instead of my right hand, and not only with my left hand, but to write with my left hand in mirror writing. And it occurred to me that might have been something that is the Leonardo da Vinci had done. Some of his journals are written with. And there's something about that doing it that way that requires a kind of mindfulness, a kind of attention to what I'm writing that changes what comes through me. And it feels at first frustrating because I have to be so slow and deliberate. And yet there's an appreciation for just what a gift that slowness is.
They've tried to have you write a real complicated question with your dominant hand, and then answer the question with your non-dominant hand. And apparently, things like the girl comes into play when you use your non-dominant hand to answer the question, like, do you believe in peace and love and dancing and so on. So I really like the idea of using both sides of your brain deliberately by forcing it to bring the girl in, bring the non-dominant hand in.